Good morning and welcome to the programme. Well done everybody in getting through a very tough week. I know it's going to be a tough weekend for some people. We're going to try and make it as happy as possible today. Firstly, deepest respect to all those who have suffered bereavements in the past while, particularly those also that are, I suppose, have loved ones in hospital at present with COVID-19. Our thoughts and our hearts go out to you this morning and to all the healthcare staff, anybody working in the frontline services across the different aspects of life. Lovely round of applause from so many different people last night across the country, and well done everybody, and keep up the great work. We are going to do a balance of hard and soft news this morning. We have a packed show. We're going to be talking about a momentous week politically on the healthcare front. We're going to be talking about how couples are getting on in persistent close quarters. We're going to be talking about books and poetry. We'd like to hear what is your favourite poem. We're going to be talking to the Director of Poetry Ireland about how terse verse is helping get people a deeper connection with their feelings. We're going to have some update in a second on the Irish struggling to get home from abroad. Firstly, have you any Westlife tickets for this summer? Not that I'm looking for any. I just know there's many people listening who are wondering if it's going to go ahead in Cork end of August. No news yet. Somebody texted me last night. But to brighten up this beautiful day even more, we're going to play a few of your Westlife songs during the programme. Although there was a great tweet last night from a chap, Michael showed me this, who tweeted to Gardaí saying, "I hear you're breaking up parties and groups. Any chance you could break up Westlife?" Oh, that's cutting. And as that song is playing underneath, a couple of texts already coming in about good news stories. Reminds me, I was talking to Dick Roach, the former councillor, the man who works up in a CC house. He left some money in a hole in the wall in Barrack Street there earlier in the week, and a lady had handed it into one of the shops there. He wasn't able to find the lady. He went back, got the money, and he just wants to say thanks. So if you were that woman who got the money out of the hole in the wall that a person had left behind and you left it into the shop, thank you very, very much from Dick Roach. Another good news story. An old age citizen whose bike was robbed a few nights ago is going to be donated a new bike from Eamon in Altitude. Paddy had his bike robbed. Don't know if you know this yet, Paddy, but Eamon has been in touch wanting to know about it, and it's definitely worth a mention. And Paddy, you're going to be getting a new bike, please God. So Eamon in Altitude, as ever, you're doing a marvellous, marvellous job there, and fair play to you, and well done to all the businesses that are keeping going. Now, in terms of people that have been working abroad, and we heard stories yesterday about Irish people struggling to get home. The government says it's working around the clock to get people back. We heard about Siobhan in Dubai, and she's stuck in Dubai. Well, she texted me late last night and she said they have all got a COVID-19 test. That's the first thing, so that's good news. They're all keeping well. She wants to thank everybody for the wishes after she had been on the radio. She listened to it on the app. The United Arab Emirates has finally pulled through with rooms for all the passengers left in transit. So now they're going to be getting a bedroom in a hotel or a sort of an apartment kind of complex. It could be, though, a few weeks before flights are arranged. But at least they have some place now to stay. They're not going to be staying on the floor of the hotel. You might have also remember we spoke with Abby the other day, and Abby has texted us to say, "Hello, Damien. Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone on WLR for your time in helping us raise awareness." Abby was stuck in Australia, as you remember. Secondly, we can't thank the Irish Embassy and Foreign Affairs Department enough for all their hard work. We have been put on flights. I know we've been sent details of definite flights by the embassy. The relief is incredible. All the hard work of local TDs has paid off. We are more than grateful and can't thank the Irish government enough. With everything going on, they still managed to help everyone here. Thank you again. That's an email in from Abby, a text in from Abby in Australia. And we heard Abby talking on the radio here the other day. Abby's in Tallow, and her friends from Old Parish and different places. So they are on the way home now, which is great news. Keep your texts and your comments coming in. 083 3333 975. I am going to go straight now, I hope, to Paul Cullen. Paul Cullen is out on a bicycle at the moment. Paul is the Irish Times health correspondent. Paul, it's a little windy where you are, is it?
It is. I'm halfway up a mountain. Apologies.
You're okay. We won't talk to you for too long, Paul. I'm sorry for interrupting your bicycle expert. Where are you at the moment, by the way?
I'm in Wicklow, the Wicklow Mountain, New Britain.
Lovely. And you have Waterford connections, as people know. You were down in Woodstown last week. How do you think people are taking the whole social distancing thing? Do you think they're getting a little bit lax again with it, or what do you think?
You know, I haven't been out too much, but I was in the park in Dublin yesterday, and I have to say everybody was keeping to themselves. And remember, social distancing doesn't really apply within the family unit because you're not applying it at home, most likely. So if you take the family unit, that's to be considered as one unit, and then distancing away from other families or other individuals. So by and large, I think people are. There haven't been too many reports. Certainly the public health officials in their briefings have said there are a minority of issues. Last weekend they mentioned some pubs and things like that, and there's obviously been controversy over certain online games and things like that. But I think the vast majority of people are taking this as a duty that they have to enact, and they'll see it through for a while anyway. Yeah.
I won't keep you too long, Paul, as I know you're out and about, and again, thanks for taking a call. You're the health correspondent in the Irish Times. You've managed to produce a paper every day. You're doing it really, really well, and your reports online are superb. Do you think now, after the figures we've seen over the last few days, do you think now we are hitting that sort of heading up that curve, as Tony Holohan has been saying?
Yes, there was an audible gasp last evening when the press release arrived in the room where the briefing took place, and people read that 10 people had died. That was more than double the previous total number of deaths. And you can't get away from that. And Dr. Holohan was quick to express his condolences to the people who had died. I have always said that things are going to get worse before they get better. There are some straws in the wind, some encouraging signs. The rate at which cases are doubling has gone out from 2 days to 3 days and a bit more. So the curve is bending a little bit, and there are signs, for example, that the number of contacts that confirmed cases have is greatly reduced. That's the indication that people are practicing social distancing. So there are some straws in the wind, but things will get worse, and we're in for a rough ride over the next week or two. But I also think that the health service has geared up as best it can. It's always under strain, we know that, but it has doubled and maybe tripled the number of available intensive care and high dependency beds that it needs. So in other words, it has a surge capacity of about a multiple of 2 or 3 times, and I think it's getting into the sort of territory where we might just make it through the highest point of the surge and the sharpest part of the curve.
Yeah, and the Minister for Health yesterday announced student nurses and midwives will be offered a contract as a healthcare assistant paid accordingly up to $28,000 a year. Is this going to make a difference on the ground, Paul, as far as you can see?
Well, I think it feeds into the fairness aspect, really. I mean, we're all in this together. It's a great collective national effort, and I think people feel that. And you get more buy-in with that understanding. But if there was a feeling that people on the front line, even if they're newly trained, are out there risking their limb and their lives and not even getting paid for it, then I think that would have offended a lot of people, including the nurses themselves. So I think the importance really there is that we recognise what these new staff are doing, along with all the other staff, and we're really reliant on the so it's a token of appreciation as much as anything.
Very much so, yeah. Listen, Paul, I will let you go because I've got Eddie on the line. I'll let you continue your cycle. Listen, safe to you and your family, and lovely to talk to you again, Paul, okay?
And to you, Damien, yeah.
Thank you very much, Paul. Eddie, are you on the line? Good morning, Eddie. Hello, Eddie. Hello, Eddie, are you there? Hello, Sean.
Hello.
How are you getting on, Sean?
Not too bad, you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm pressing buttons here to beat the band, as they say. Tell me, Sean, we were just talking to Paul Cullen from a health perspective. In terms of politics this week, thanks for joining us this morning, and I know you've been mad busy. What is the situation in terms of how you can analyse the past week in terms of the new laws have been brought in, the work that the different parties have been doing together, even last night, the standing up for applause? It's been a momentous week, hasn't it?
It's an absolutely fascinating week, and if you took anything on its own, any individual measure that's happened in the last week and a half, it would dominate the news agenda for days or weeks on its own. And yet we're moving through it at a rate of knots. I've certainly never seen news and journalism move this fast. Given everything that's going on, it's absolutely needed. In terms of the news audit, it's been an extraordinary response from the government, and I know you probably have it on your show yourself. There's been some criticism of it, particularly for businesses who are wondering, well, do I apply for these new schemes that I can get money from my employees and I can keep people on? How do I apply? And the honest truth of it is this has been pulled together so quickly in response is that in a lot of cases the answer from the department is we're still working on it, we're not 100% sure. So I would say to people who are concerned, and I've had them contacted me, I'm sure you've had them as well, about whether they apply, whether they can keep people in a job, whether they qualify for payments, get in touch with the department, and answers are being figured out, but slowly, because the political machine has moved faster than it's ever moved to try and get a response to this. We've seen two absolutely massive omnibus bills in relation to the coronavirus go through the door in the past 2 weeks, both in one-day sittings. Individually, they'd usually take months to pass on their own. So there is a little bit of catch-up being played in terms of that. Politically, aside from that, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are on for the Grand Coalition, something that we have never seen before in the history of the state, and it's somewhat flown under the radar a little bit. They had a very significant meeting this week, and I'm told it went very well between the two of them, where they've agreed now to work on a programme for government and to come together to try and put that government in place in the next couple of weeks. They're still looking for the third wheel of it, if you like, those last people who will make up the numbers to actually form a coalition. But it seems as though in the middle of everything that's happening here in this crisis that we are about for the first time to see a coalition between Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil.
It's just, there's so much happening, Sean. It's just phenomenal, really, the pace of these things. And journalists sometimes can get involved in hyperbole and say, oh, it's changing every day and every hour. It really has just been phenomenal. And officials, and for the system to keep up with that, like I've been getting, everybody's been getting so many texts from people that are just so worried about their own personal situations. They can't get through to different government agencies. Even citizen information advice bureaus are very busy. So you've got all that going on underneath this massive political upheaval, don't we?
Yeah, and I think it kind of shows, like, we've often been critical of how slowly the wheels of power move in terms of getting any sort of a law done. I think now we're seeing why that actually happens, because when you try to bring in big new laws very quickly, there's a lot of stuff you often haven't thought about. And then as a result of that, a lot of people who become very concerned because they don't know, well, does my business apply to that? Am I going to have to let people go? There's a lot of scenarios that are still being thought through. And I thought Minister Regina Doherty was actually refreshingly honest yesterday when she said, look, there's situations we haven't thought of because we pulled this legislation together in 2 weeks to an unfolding crisis. So if you have a situation like that, then you need to get in touch with us, and we will find a solution for it. We just don't have it right this second. And then on top of that, the absolute political upheaval that you mentioned. I mean, things are just at an incredible boiling point. I was saying yesterday that all the rule books have been ripped up, all the rule books for politics, all the rule books for health. I mean, at the moment, I think yesterday the figure was 7 people on trolleys around the country. The corresponding figure for this time last year was in the 600s. We have a one-tier health service for the first time in certainly a long time, if not the history of the state. And we have a government who vehemently oppose rent freezes and rent evictions, imposing rent freezes and rent evictions, albeit for a temporary time, in response to this crisis. So everything in the political landscape has changed, and I wonder, will we ever go back to the way things were? I somehow doubt it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. It's just phenomenal. Listen, Sean, you mind yourself, to you and your family. Take care, and we'll talk to you again soon, OK?
You too, Damien. Stay safe.
Thank you very much, Sean. Sean Defoe there, who is the news correspondent with News Talk. Keep your texts and your comments coming in. Damien, could you please play a request to my wife, Monica? And this is from Tony Power in Ferrybank, who with myself were celebrating 46 years of marriage today. Both of us thinking about all the frontline workers in hospital who are doing a great job, and well done to WLR for keeping us informed. A lovely text in from Marty. I can't see my wife at the moment. She's looking after her father. We're apart. Could you tell her I miss her very much and I love her an awful lot? See you soon, Lisa. Eddie Savage, good morning.
Morning, Damien.
How are you?
Sure, I'm after being to hell and back, Damien, back in the last 6 weeks.
Go on, tell me.
Well, on Wednesday the 29th of January, my wife Maudie was admitted to the surgical ward. seriously ill with low blood pressure.
Will you just turn off, Eddie? I think the radio might be on in the background there. Will you turn it off, or go into the... If Lisa wants to listen to it, your daughter, just go into the other room yourself. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Grand, okay, Damien, but she had low blood pressure and irregular heartbeats, infection in the gallbladder. She was treated by Mr. Murphy's staff and allowed home after 10 days on the 7th of February. I got her home then 13 days, and we were sitting down watching, and it's a serious learning curve for me. We were watching Fair City when Maudie got us a very severe 3 strokes on the brain on the right-hand side and 2 bleeds. Now, what I didn't know at the time was, I always thought it was a problem we had in Waterford, which we said the heart. If you get a heart attack, you'd be in trouble. You'd have to go to Cork. Now I realised that, in this experience, I realised that if you get a stroke, you have to go to Beaumont. You have only a 4.5 hour window. And I had 2 glasses of water ready to go to bed. And if we had to go to bed at 9 o'clock that night on the 20th of February, she would have been dead within 4.5 hours. And nobody ever told me in Waterford that, for example, if you get a stroke, you have to go to Beaumont. So she had to be put in an ambulance, brought to Waterford, put in another ambulance, and brought straight to Beaumont. So the experience or the inspiration from the poem that I'm going to read out later comes from this background of Beaumont Hospital and Waterford Hospital. And it's a very serious problem for especially, I was looking at that Italian doctor last night that says they have to decide about 82-year-olds. So Maudie and I are 82 years of age, and that they'd have to give the ventilators to younger people. It's a terrific experience to be learning, a learning curve for me regarding medical staff, in particular in Waterford. So I was totally ignorant, Damien, about the wonderful staff in Waterford.
That's what I was just going to say to you next,
Yes.
Eddie. The wonderful staff that have looked after your wonderful wife, and our thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family this morning, Eddie.
Yeah.
And how is Maudie?
But she's very seriously ill. She's not doing too bad now, right? But that's due to the care that she's getting. But the poem that I did was relating to the strikes that took place before any virus came into Ireland. You know what I mean? I'm trying to combine the whole lot for the government, for the people of Ireland, and particularly the people of Waterford. That this experience is an amazing experience. So the poem I did is really about one particular line is a disgrace by us all, for example.
Okay,
what
do you want to...
I want to start with the strikes that took place a couple of months ago.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead there then if you want to give it an old shot.
So I'm dedicating the poem to the wonderful staff who are treating my wife Maudie in the stroke unit in the UHW for the last 31 days, 24/7. Teams like doctors, nurses, dietitians, speech and languages, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, in fact, everybody, and so on. So I wrote a poem which was combining, we said, the strikes a couple of months ago when none of us knew how good these nurses were, in fact, doing this all their life. And they have no interest in political cribbing with the government, and they have no issues there. They're devoted people, unbelievable devoted people to their job. They're not interested in money. They're just looking for recognition. So my poem starts way back in the strike coming forward. Is that all right with yourself?
Okay, fire ahead.
Right, so the stroke unit in Waterford is a blessed ward indeed. The staff there are amazing. They cater every need. The staff nurses and doctors work so hard night and day. It's really unbelievable, the things they do and say. Their gift of knowledge knows no bounds, with skills beyond compare, and the love they have for patients with tender loving care. These people's hands are truly blessed, of that there is no doubt. Their tolerance is amazing. They know what life's about. Some work for 14 hours a day, which grossly is unfair. I've witnessed some, through tiredness, take their break, sleep on a chair. I'd give the world today to see some justice taking place, for the lack of recognition by us all is a disgrace. Their devotion to the job itself is something to behold. Like the Sacred Heart of Jesus, they have a heart of gold. That's it, Damien.
Eddie, you have me in tears here. That is just lovely.
I have myself in tears because it's wicked heart. Wicked. Unbelievable. Pressure. But that's it anyway, sure. I'll have to keep going. But there's a very, very interesting learning curve for the politicians involved.
Yeah.
I never knew, Damien, that if they get a stroke, you have to hedge a 4.5 hour window to live. If Maudie and me had gone to bed that night, she would have been dead in 4.5 hours. How I wasn't asleep, I'll never know. How Maudie wasn't asleep, I'll never know. But you normally go asleep at the chair when you're 82. And the trouble with being 82 is you can't be 72, you can't be 62. You know, you're just up there on your own in a departure lounge, waiting.
You see,
I wrote another poem. The last poem I wrote was "Take Us Together, Lord." You know what I mean? That's the way you feel when you're 82. But Beaumont as well was fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah. Like there's so many texts coming in, Eddie, to wish you well. We had a lovely text from Joe Corcoran there to wish you and Maudie the best. Great times with Dolphin FC 35 years ago. And others, and people texting in, Ratvaden Villas, stay strong. There's so much... Let me put it like this, Eddie. There's so much going on in your story there, because there's a sadness first that you're separated and that you're so worried about your wife and yourself. There's a strength, there's a courage, there's such a pride, as you say, in the services that are there, and there's also hope that you're going to get through this and that you're going to get Maudie home.
Well, we're hoping to get her home very shortly, please God, but I have to get the house looked after first to change the filter, you know.
Yeah.
But I never realised that people say to me, "Keepers, Eddie, you don't look 82." But the reason for that I discovered through Maudie's problem is that she was the spring in my step. So I kind of slowed down, got lost. I got lost, but I still wrote that little poem sitting down there. Because I was compelled to do it. These nurses and doctors, you know, like, and the whole staff, I'm not talking about
everybody,
people going into the shame if I didn't, including them. What I want to say is, please, they will not allow their devotion to the job interfere with politics. They don't care. It's a lack of recognition before the crisis. They're after proving it in the crisis, Damien.
Yeah, and just even the way you've composed that poem, because we're doing a special thing about poetry today, Eddie, and Anne Fenton has texted in. That was beautifully composed. A few other people have texted in. That is just so beautiful and so fantastic. Eddie, to you and your family, to Lisa and to all your grandchildren and to Maudie, I just can't wish you enough hope and happiness in this difficult time.
Thanks very much, Damien.
Now 083 3333 975. Also text in Gimme a break with a chance to win as part of our original Irish Hotels competition. Today's prize, a 2-night breakaway with breakfast and 1 evening meal for 2 in Racket Hall Country House Hotel in Tipperary. It's a lovely, lovely hotel. I was there for lunch once. Racket House Country House Hotel. We are getting a lot of texts to say well done to Eddie. Could you please play 3 Times a Lady by the Commodores for Eddie? Damien, our mother Margaret O'Loughlin is a resident in the Waterford care home. For her and all the carers, doctors, nurses, kitchen staff, cleaning, everyone else taking care of all the residents. Please say hello to them. Good morning, Damien. Uptown Girls by Westlife for myself, Richard Egan in Laurel Park and Cherrymount. Patient in UHW. For myself and another person. I hope, says this person, Waterford people support local people in this epidemic and also local businesses, and well done to those that are donating and helping people that have suffered in the last while. Well done to Eddie. I don't know you, but I felt every word of that poem with heartfelt tears. My God give you strength and your wife and all the strength and blessing you deserve, and well done to all the health workers. Now we're going to continue on the theme of love, because obviously Eddie and Maudie are so much in love. We're going to talk to Fergal Harrington. Good morning, Fergal.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Founder and director of Intro Matchmaking, dating through the corona. Anecdotally, what are you hearing at present about how couples are getting on, how families are getting on, and what's happening regarding such matters?
Well, like everyone else, and like everyone else is saying, it's extremely, stressful for an awful lot of people. But for the most part, people are trying to make the best of it. People contacting us on a daily basis. The girls from the team are working remotely from home, but they're carrying out FaceTime interviews now instead of face-to-face in the office here on Grafton Street. And what people are by and large saying is, I'm single. I've been single for a number of years. I've been putting things on the long finger for so long because I've been distracted by work, by life in general. It's been a rat race, basically. And I didn't have, I suppose, a firm focus on what was really important. I didn't prioritise what's really important. I didn't have that work-life balance. And what this has forced people into doing is slowing down, taking a breath, just focusing on what, on where I see myself in future. So people are now more than ever, and more men than ever, are actually contacting us, thinking now, let's get this sort of work-life balance a little bit more sorted. So they're thinking, they're regretting a lot of the time that they didn't do it before, because self-isolation now is horrendous for an awful lot of people who have been single for many years, now forced into actually remaining that way. It centres things and puts a focus on where we want to be. So it's urging people on to prioritise what's most important and giving a bit of perspective. We all needed to slow down a little bit. It's a pity it took a global pandemic to do that, obviously. But that is by and large the what's being echoed at us daily from people. I suppose as well people are cognizant of the fact that it takes time, and if they're not interested in going online, an awful lot of people in Ireland. There's so many single people, 2 million single people in this country, and there was in the past kind of a taboo and a little bit of a stigma attached to admitting that I'm lonely and I want to be with somebody. Now what the coronavirus has brought about is that global sort of sense of community whereby, well, no one is going to be able to hide behind the fact that, they're lonely or they're not lonely, or putting up Instagram pictures of filtered pictures that are looking like my life is incredible. Now everyone's in the same boat. So you can't hide behind that.
The figures from China have shown in the last 6 months that divorce rates have actually increased because of isolation. There is so many positives, as you say, about people getting to know each other better. And then you can have negatives where that people could be in abusive relationships as well. That's another different matter. But in terms of even dealing with somebody and working closely with somebody on a more intense basis at home, you have to work on that relationship a lot more, don't you? You
do, and a lot of the time it can highlight the flaws in a relationship quite alarmingly. And myself and Rena have worked together and all the rest and for about 12 years now, so we're kind of used to it. But for the rest of the people, an awful lot of my friends, they might see each other for an hour or half an hour every single day. They're running around, they're gone at 7, home at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and they're running around the place. It really does put a strain on things. And largely, if you're spending 14 hours a day I think the most important thing to do for us and for a lot of the sensible people that we're hearing is have a routine, get up as if it's a normal day, as if you are going out into the office, get showered, get ready, have structure, and give each other a breather as well. Marriages can be tough at the best of times, but you need to be cognizant of the fact that the other person is going through, hard times as well. So maybe say, okay, here, you take an hour away, you go for a walk in the park on your own, or you go up and have a read of whatever book you wanted to get through. I'll look after the kids for the time being, or just give each other space within the house is so important as well, because the people who you're closest to can be the ones who you take the most aggression out on, unbeknownst to yourself, and then things can come to a head. At the same time, if people aren't supposed to be together, something like this actually can bring that to a head, and that's something that probably should be done. In Ireland, we've been years thinking, okay, I won't separate now. I'm in a relationship. Sure, it's handier to be in a relationship than to be single again. But if the two people are in the same house and can't cope being in the same house for, 6 or 8 weeks, perhaps there is something to question.
Lovely. Very, very good advice. Listen, Fergal, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Fergal Harrington, founder and director of Intro Matchmaking on dating through the corona situation. Let us know what you think, please. 083 33 975. A lovely text in there from, I think it's Charlotte, saying her nanny just rang her to ask her to text in after hearing the poem. Can you please read out the following poem, the following message? Eddie and Maudie, we were just listening to your poem. It was beautiful. We have you in our thoughts and prayers. That's from Anna and Kathleen. Thank you very much for the text. Can you please mention people that have set up petrol accounts for those that are helping getting through this coronavirus problems? Tommy Farrell's garage in Tramore. Just want to say thank you very much to everybody working in Tommy Farrell's garage down in Tramore. Damien, could you ask please, where were the parents of the 23 teenagers who were together in the field behind Avondale Estate last night? Let us know. 083 33 975. Next we're going to talk about parenting. Now keep your texts and comments coming in. Laura Erskine, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks
for waiting on the line there for us. How are you?
I'm good this morning. I'm like so many working parents. I'm feeling the strain of the juggle, but I'm lucky that we all have our health, so it's a small price to pay.
You were also involved with Baby Doc Club, how to keep young children amused at home. I'm going to talk about the survey in a minute. About 9 out of 10 parents think those who break COVID-19 restrictions should be fined. But tell me a little bit about Baby Doc Club. Do you think most people are inventing things, they're doing things that they wouldn't normally do in terms of keeping their children entertained, playing cards, doing board games, yoga, Pilates?
You're right, they are. They're doing all of that and more. And technology is a wonderful thing because we've got, for any of us who don't know how to do some of those activities, and we're trying to explore new ones that we've never experienced before. We don't need to go to a class. They're in the physical world. There are online tutorials and online real-life classes going on YouTube every single day, and Instagram Live. That's another great place to find them. So yes, I think the parents are definitely getting creative in week 2 of our restricted lifestyle, and especially knowing that we've got another 4 weeks stretching out ahead of us. So they're definitely getting creative. Now, Baby Doc Club, they specifically have a group of parents within their community who are pregnant, and also in the preschool age up to age 5 is the largest group of children. And actually, the older children are an awful lot easier to keep occupied. It's the younger ones that really have a much shorter attention span and can definitely test the nerves of even the most patient parent. So we're engaging in a little bit of screen time, but we're definitely advising not to do that for too long during the day, because it will make them more irritable in the long run. And if you are doing it, to try and find some educational tutorials, classes, fitness classes, and even educational programs. There's some great ones out there that you can find on YouTube. Getting out into the fresh air is brilliant. Whether you're going for a walk or a scoot, or maybe they're going to learn how to ride their bike without stabilizers for the first time. Getting a ball out there and kicking it around, hula hoops, frisbee. These are all things that we can practice with our toddlers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of teddy bears picnics going on around the country. Getting into the kitchen is another one. Baking together was brilliant. And even while you bake, giving the child, some dried goods, whether they're dried rice or lentils, and their own scoops and sieves and that kind of thing, allowing them to play on the floor while you're baking and letting them to taste the food as they're doing it. That's definitely something that children of all ages enjoy. And then creating around painting, practicing some colouring. For younger children, actually getting on the painting aprons, or even getting into the bath with your paint gear is brilliant. So put them into their swim gear or in the nude, and give them some paints and allow them to paint the bath on the inside. It's the cleanest way of allowing them to have fun.
I haven't heard that one yet. Now that's the first time I've heard that, I must say.
It's great. It's brilliant, and you don't need to get stressed out. The other thing is to give them paintbrushes and allow them to paint with water. So put them outside and tell them that you want them to paint the Wendy house or paint the fence, or give them something else that needs either painting or cleaning, and they'll have lots of fun with buckets, water, and there won't be too much mess. Just some wet children. that will enjoy a cuddle on the couch afterwards.
Okay.
So there's definitely some creative ways of keeping the very young children entertained.
It's some great, and I know a lot more advice on theparentingexperts.com. That's all one word, theparentingexperts.com. Can I talk to you briefly about this survey? 9 out of 10 parents think those who break restrictions and I suppose recommendations on COVID-19 should be fined. What do you think about this?
Yes, that's what we found when we asked our baby doc parents what they thought and how they were feeling about COVID-19. And with 9 in 10 parents saying that they should be fined, you have to agree with them. I think what we're finding is that the majority are following the restrictions and the rules around lifestyle, social distancing, and not going out unless necessary. But then it can be ruined by the minority who feel like it just won't happen to them, and they may be parents or they may be teenagers, but it's something that we do need to be mindful of, because we have, as I said, 4 weeks stretching out ahead of us. And if the minority don't follow the rules, then there's potentially more time of restriction to follow thereafter. And we all want to get back to work. We all want the children to get back to school. And we definitely don't want this to have to go on any longer than we have to. So if we all follow the rules, then that won't happen. And the only way of ensuring that is by putting fines in place and for people to take it really seriously.
Yeah, we want to hear what people have to say about that, because I just had a text in. There was a group of teenagers around different parts of Waterford last night, 23 teenagers, and somebody said in the Old Tramore Road around Greenfields they were there in the estate and then went to another estate. So a lot of the youngsters and older people are getting the message. A lot of them are, and we can't just generalise and say it's all just young people. It's not. There's a certain cohort and there's only a certain few people. So generally, the vast majority of people have obeyed the regulations and restrictions, haven't they?
They have indeed, and it's important to note that the teenagers who are, there are a huge number who are helping out. I've heard some lovely stories.
Very much so, yeah.
Dropping notes into the post boxes of elderly people in their community, and even pregnant and new moms who just can't get out to the shops because I suppose of their compromised status in terms of either being pregnant or having a brand new baby at home and just not being able to get out. So there are teams who are helping those in the community, and they're to be applauded, and hopefully lots more will follow their good examples.
Listen, it's lovely to talk to you. Thank you very, very much, Laura. I really appreciate it. Again, it's theparentingexperts.com, yes?
Yes, that's right. And then there's lots of ideas there on the Instagram page for Baby Doc Club for pregnant and new moms who are a little bit concerned about COVID-19 and are looking for some support from their peers. As
ever, Laura Erskine, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura Erskine there. On Instagram, as you heard, the Baby Doc Club, or if you want to go online, theparentingexperts.com. Let us know what you think, please. Let us know what you think. Some texts coming in regarding the stroke unit. The Kelly family have texted in. Damien, my wife, had a stroke around the same time as Eddie's wife. The care and attention from the stroke unit she got helped her in recovery. I can't praise the unit enough. She's now been looked after amazing staff in Our Ladies Ward, with amazing staff in Our Ladies Ward in St Patrick's. Other people texting in about different areas. Carrigalee Corja Services, could you please play a request and thank you to all the hard work and dedication done by everybody there. And to Laura Dewan, I think it is, Laura Dewan, a very happy birthday. Laura is a nurse at the Royal Free Hospital in London, with best wishes from her grandmother and godmother.